Have you ever wondered what makes a good movie good? What about a good book? Have you ever asked yourself what makes a good book good? What about content? What about a webinar? What about an ad? Have you ever asked yourself what makes a good ad, a good book, a good piece of content, a good movie good? Well, I'm going to give you a little hint because it's exactly what we're talking about in today's episode. What they all do is they don't require you to think about whether or not it's good. They all know how to design those things so it elicits an internal feeling automatically inside of you. And I'm going to show you how to do that in today's episode, all about the new thought reversals. So keep on listening. Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Today, we are talking about thought reversals. And I think the best place to start off is by recapping what a thought reversal is. Because we have a new, updated, deeper dive, I guess, perspective into what a thought reversal is, how it works, and all of that good stuff. So for those of you who don't know what a thought reversal is, it started off as a type of content. It started off as videos, basically. So we're doing these little thought reversal videos, which, are polarizing. They grab attention, they shift people's perspective, and they really go after industry norms. So like outdated industry norms or limiting beliefs. And it is this style of content that shifts people's perspective from something that was causing them suffering to something that is more empowering. Dr. Shannon Irvin, I heard it from her first, always says that there's gas pedal and brake things. So like gas pedal would be the tutorials, the how-to content, the steps, the more information. Those are all things that can move someone forward. But the gas pedal things are things that people have that are stopping them, like beliefs they have that are stopping them. So even if you give them all the gas pedal things in the world, if their foot's on the brake, it doesn't really do them any good. And so what thought reversals do is they help people remove their foot off of the brake. And some may argue that is one of the most valuable things you can do for anybody. So when we first created thought reversals, it stemmed from this idea of, hey, we're going to do these as videos. We're going to put a polarizing title. It's going to capture attention. We're going to shift people's perspective, and we're really going to take a stand for something. And that was a great place to start from. And it has evolved to something more where thought reversals really are more of a concept. It's not just a video or a type of video or a type of content. It is a concept that gets people to see something differently. It's a concept that stops the subconscious automation, which we'll talk about in today's episode. It actually causes, what it really does is it causes people to think critically. As humans, we kind of take on a lot of beliefs and we believe a lot of things to be true, even if they may not be true. And we never question it. We don't question a lot of things. Our subconscious goes, boom, believe this to be true because of X, Y, and Z. And then we live our life as if that thing was true, even if it's counterproductive to us hitting a result that we want. And so for me, one of the things that we've done really well is we've been able to identify what thought reversals work really well, what concepts are kind of outdated inside of our industry and our space that I can tackle, reverse, and end for people and bring them to a better, more empowered place. And some of those, as you're probably familiar, are things like how-to content isn't how to grow an audience fast. How-to content is not the only way to add value, which is what we've heard for so long. Like give everything away for free, give your best stuff away for free and people will buy. It's like, well, sorry, buying behavior doesn't work like that. Like getting a bunch of stuff for free and guilt tripping people into buying something doesn't always work, especially when it's online and they can just easily like click a button and you're gone, right? We want to focus more on that demand creation, that internal feeling that builds inside of your audience that forces them to go, I need this. Speaking to that subconscious mind. And that's what thought reversals do. And we've grown thought reversals beyond just the type of video or type of content to a concept. And with that growth, we're about to go deeper with why they work, how beliefs are formed, how you can start to create your really powerful thought reversals. But it starts by understanding this concept. It starts by understanding what a thought reversal is and how they work on a deeper level. And a lot of this came up because we are updating our programs. We just completely redid the thought reversal program itself. So or X member or a mentorship member, you will get that absolutely free. Or if you are a thought reversal course member, you will get that new version absolutely free whenever it comes out, which should be in the next month or so. And if you aren't any members of ours, well, you have an opportunity to get that program as well. But as we started to develop it, we started to dive deeper and understand what is really going on that make thought reversals really effective. And I think the first thing is understanding what the problem actually is. And if you don't understand the problem that's happening right now, you may not fully grasp the importance of thought reversals. Up here all day and just tell you, like, we've spent over $700,000 in ads this year, just in my company alone. And thought reversal scripts copy have been the #1 converting ad that we've run. I can tell you that they've been the most engaging content we've ever created. I can tell you that they've also led to some of the best podcast episodes we've ever done. I can tell you all of that stuff. But until you actually understand why what you're doing doesn't work, it could be really hard for you to grasp and move over to this new idea. And there's this problem that I recognized a couple years ago, and I call it the content circle of death. And it was a problem that has gone undiagnosed, or no one's really picked up on it, or if they have, they weren't sharing it with anybody. But the problem is that the market had reached a level of saturation. This online business world, this course, programs, coaching business has reached a level of saturation, which means that the awareness of what's going on, the awareness of, hey, I can create an online business, I can post content, I can run an expert-based business, I can create a course and a program. It's been growing and growing and growing. And with COVID, it's gotten even more intense. There's more and more people popping on. And the thing that made it really tough is that for the longest time, for when we first started the business, everyone was teaching how-to content, information, give your best stuff away for free, add value, even though they never defined what value actually is, add value, and that's how you grow an audience. And that worked for a really, really, really long time. And honestly, it still works today. Like, you still want to do how-to content, but here's the problem. Inside the content circle of death, when you have to remember, you have to meet your audience where they are at. You can't meet them where you are at. You have to meet them where they are at. And so what happens is, when you give out valuable information, if you're looking at it from your perspective, your perspective is probably something like, this is really valuable. They're going to want more of this. They're going to see how smart I am. They're going to see that I'm an expert in this. They're going to know that I can help them. That's your perspective. You might even be thinking, well, I am different than everyone else. I teach it differently than everyone else. I communicate a little bit differently than everyone else. You may be thinking all of those things. And some of those may be true. The problem is then you put all of that into a piece of content. And let's say you're a weight loss coach and you title it How to Lose 10 Pounds in 6 months. Then 5, 10, 13 different experts have the same video, How to Lose 10 Pounds. The audience perceives you as exactly the same. Meet them where they are at. Don't meet them where you're at, meet them where they're at. So the problem is when you start doing a ton of how-to content, it's not necessarily the fact you're doing how-to content. I mean, it is, but it isn't. But we want to go one level higher than that. It's even just the way you're titling your videos. How to do X, Y, and Z. And then there's a million experts titling their videos how to do X, Y, and Z, almost exactly the same as yours. How on earth are they ever supposed to know how you're different? They don't. So that's one of the problems, is that, number one, not only is your content possibly going to be sounding the same, there's actually 3 major problems. Your content's going to be sounding the same. The titles are going to be the same. And then people will perceive you as just an expert. Okay, so let's dive into a little bit of those. So the problem is when you title your videos all the same. You never give them a chance to actually see how you are different. Again, you may be thinking, I'm a little bit different. I teach different. I teach this. No one else talks about this. But then you go and you title your video the same exact thing. Well, guess what? They're going to perceive you the same thing because you're the same way. You're not meeting them where they're at. You have to meet your audience where they're at. Where are their concerns? Where are their beliefs? What do they think is true? Let me meet them at that point. And then as they come deeper into your circle, you can start to reveal more and more things. Number 2 is the way you're teaching. Again, when we look at TED Talks, we look at people like Simon Sinek. They don't just get up there and give you tutorials. The way they talk, the way they communicate, they know their expertise, but they don't just get out there and shove information down your throat. They teach it differently. They present it differently. Even if the information is exactly the same, but it's presented differently, people will perceive you as different. And that's what we want. We want people to perceive us as different. So that's number 2 is that the way you're teaching. Again, we still want tutorials, we still want information, but getting up there and just throwing a ton of information at them just to prove how smart you are and hope that they come and buy or listen from you doesn't really work because that requires logic. It requires them to sit down and think, do I want to go to this person? Yes or no? No, because of X, Y, and Z, or yes, because of X, Y, and Z. Well, they appeared to be really smart. They seem to know what they're talking about. They did overwhelm me, but maybe that's a good thing. They don't think that. The subconscious takes over. The subconscious goes, I don't get this. It's overwhelming. It's too much. I'm going to leave. So the way you're teaching could have a really, really negative effect inside of your business. And then the third thing is when we focus on that type of content 100% of the time, we're just regurgitating our expertise. We're actually more of an expert when we don't want an expert. We want a thought leader, a market leader. People want to work with the best or people that understand things on a deeper level. So when you go and you hire a plumber, for example, there's a lot of plumbers that can get the job done. But the plumber that's going to come in as a market leader that's worked with more people, has more reviews, probably even talks to you nicer. Like, again, how they talk to you has nothing to do with how well they can fix whatever problem you have in your house. But because they talk to you, they built rapport with you, you start to trust them a lot more. And there's all these other invisible elements going on, and thought reversals are adapting and changing to take that into consideration. And it's not so much about ending beliefs anymore. It's about subconscious connection, subconscious thinking and processing. So that's the problem. That's the content circle of death. The content circle of death is when you focus on your expertise, you're just seen as an expert. You're not meeting your audience where they're at. You start naming all your videos the same thing as everyone else, or all your content the same as everyone else. And you're teaching the same way as everyone else. All of those become a problem. That is the content circle of death. And that worked when there weren't a lot of competitors because there weren't a lot of options. Now, because there's more and more options, and there's more and more options every day, and COVID's speeding that up because more people are starting businesses and realizing that these are opportunities, it's going to get worse. So if you're having a problem, like you're the type of person who knows your content's really good, you're like, I know my stuff. I know it's good. And you put it out there and no one pays attention to it. No one recognizes, wow, this is good, or people skip over it, or they're just not paying attention, or they're not showing up to your webinars or whatever. It's because you have not created an internal subconscious demand inside of them. You have not communicated or created messaging or created anything that drives an internal feeling of, I need this, I need it now, I need to be there. And thought reversals do all of that. Now, and this is a disclaimer, just like any form of content, I don't think you should be doing thought reversals 100% of the time. I don't think you should be doing how-to content 100% of the time. I don't think you should be doing tutorials 100% of the time. I don't think there's one type of content that you should be doing 100% of the time, but we need to break things up. Again, this is about creating a messaging ecosystem. Different elements, the longer people sit in your ecosystem, they start to experience all of these different elements. So the first version of thought reversals basically just tackled the industry norms, and they tackled limiting beliefs. And all we said was, those are just beliefs. They're not necessarily true, We can use sleight of mouth patterns or language patterns to discredit those beliefs. And that's all we really needed to know for the longest time. But more and more things started to pop up. And what I started to realize is that this is not just about beliefs per se. It's actually about subconscious and your audience's subconscious. And when we can create content to the subconscious, it doesn't require people to think, because your content and your communication style are able to elicit an automated subconscious feeling. And that feeling could be demand, it could be happiness, it could be freeing, it could be ahas, it could come out through as mind-blowing. But the point is you don't want your audience to have to think about whether or not they believe you, whether or not what you're saying is relevant to them, whether or not they want to attend your webinar, whether or not your content is valuable, whether or not they want your product or your program or to work with you. You want to communicate to the subconscious mind. And when you understand this concept, your thought reversals will become more powerful. When you understand this concept, your communication, your messaging, no matter where you're using it, will become more powerful. And you experience this every single day. Every single day. Let's take your spouse, for example. If you're married or, boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, I'm willing to bet that when you met them, there was a feeling. It was an attraction. It was an automated thing of, I really like this person, really connect to this person. But when we boil it down to what was really going on, I'm willing to bet there was shared identities, shared values, shared beliefs, and shared interests, which can kind of be wrapped into those three anyways. But there was something that was shared. And because those things were shared, an automated subconscious feeling came up of, I really like this person. Because I'm also willing to bet, take away those things. So take away the shared values, take away the shared beliefs, take away the shared interests, take away the shared identities, beliefs, values, all that stuff. I'm willing to bet you probably wouldn't feel the same way about your spouse. And I don't know, maybe that's a little harsh, but let's if that's too hard to think about, think about your friends. Your friends, you're like, I really get along with this person. Again, shared interests, shared beliefs, shared values, shared identities. Those are really what is going to form that connection. But it didn't pop up as, okay, I really like this person. Why do I like this person? Oh, we both have an identity of this. We both have a core value of this. Maybe the interest thing comes up. Oh, we both like this and that and that. Maybe the interest thing comes up. But the values, the beliefs, and the identities generally won't come up. But the subconscious mind automatically elicits a feeling of, I really like this person. But when we boil it down, that's the reason why. That's why you're friends with who you're friends with. And we all know almost all friendships don't last forever. And why is that? Because people grow and they change, which means their values, their beliefs, and their identities will grow and change. So this idea, you experience it all around you. And it's not just with friends and relationships, but we experience it all around us. That there is this subconscious automation that goes on that allows us to form connections with people, build rapport with people. So we're doing it all the time. And it is the way humans are designed. It is the way your audience is designed. So understand that for a second. This is the way your audience is designed. So now that you know that, you can start to be intentional with how you communicate, and you communicate to their subconscious mind, which automatically elicits a feeling, which is why I tell people, if you have been growing with how-to content and tutorials, and that's all you've been doing, and you've been succeeding with it, it's not because your information is spectacularly better than someone else's. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that initial reason why they clicked on you and first started watching you likely isn't because your information was just like mind-blowing over someone else's. It was because of other things. You're a parent, they're a parent. You have values that you share, they have similar values. Maybe you're entertaining, but there's other things other than just the information. It's not the information alone as to why they follow you. So when we know that, we can start to be really intentional with what we release to speak to the subconscious mind. We can also teach to the subconscious mind. So here's how it works, and I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into this, is that, and this is science, it's been proven. Don't believe me, you can just Google it. But humans, an average adult makes 35,000 decisions a day. So everything from, do we turn right here? Do we turn left here? Push on the gas, push on the brake. Do I brake now? Do I want to get up now? What am I going to wear today? All these things that you don't think that you're actually making choices on. You're like, well, I don't have to figure out how to drive to my kid's school. I just know how to do it. And it's like, no, your subconscious knows. So your subconscious, and that's why when you drive and you're like not paying attention to anything, and you just realize, oh, I'm still on the right path. I'm still going the right way. It's because the subconscious mind is making those decisions for you. The subconscious mind is running the show for you. Because we don't have enough energy or glucose to actually make 35,000 decisions a day. That would drain all of our energy. It'd be exhausting. So what happens is our subconscious and our mind starts to automate a lot of decisions for us. That way we don't have to make those decisions. And so there's a couple ways in which this happens that are going to be relatable to you, which I'm going to go through today. But what happens is this happens all the time, every day. So even when we get in a fight with someone or an argument with like a spouse or a mom or a dad or a brother and a sister, we automatically decide, our subconscious will automatically tell us how to feel about it. It'll give us an interpretation. Doesn't mean that interpretation is true. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean it's accurate, but our subconscious will tell us this is what happened. And unless we stop that subconscious mind, we will literally live in a world where that interpretation becomes our reality. It becomes the lens in how we see the world. My dad says something to me, my subconscious goes, oh, he's attacking you. Unless I stop that thought, unless I stop that automation, unless I become conscious to that, I will live in a world where that interaction with my dad was him attacking me. But once I stop that automation, once I become conscious that that's going on, I now have the ability or the choice to look at that and go, is that really what happened? How do I know that's what really happened? Do I really want to believe that's what happened? It's causing me pain and suffering. I don't really want pain and suffering. Maybe I'll look at it differently. Oh, my dad wasn't attacking me. He was just trying to protect me from making a decision he thought would cause me harm. Oh, my dad actually loves me. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to make that my reality. You have that power. You have that choice. And that's just one example of how powerful the subconscious mind is. The subconscious mind will make those decisions based off of past experiences, indoctrinations that we have, also safety mechanisms. What's going to make us safe? The subconscious mind will automate a lot of these things. So again, understanding how this plays out in your life is really powerful because it allows you to be more powerful, but it also allows you to understand how your audience's mind actually works, like on the core level. And it doesn't work by, oh, hey, they gave me really good information. I'm going to buy from them to get more of that information. Why? Because that requires critical thinking. That requires logic. That requires their subconscious, them to stop their subconscious and to critically think. And that's not going to happen. Instead, you can communicate to the subconscious mind so they don't have to think about it. Let me give you a couple more examples of how this plays out. But when we look when you see a good advertisement on Facebook and their copy's really good, the message is really good, it hits all the right areas, you don't have to think about whether or not it's good. You feel an internal compelling feeling of, I want this, I need this, or I'm curious, and you opt in. When you watch a good movie, you don't have to think about whether or not it's good. It literally just pulls you in. And you probably don't notice things like the music or a camera angle shift or anything like that. It's just like you're drawn in. The subconscious mind is entertained. Same thing with a good book, especially when it's nonfiction. When you read a good nonfiction book, when you're actually learning something and it's giving you a different perspective, a different outlook, or it's teaching you what was going wrong that you didn't realize, bringing your awareness to something that was wrong that you didn't realize was causing a problem. It's like mind-blowing. It doesn't require the subconscious to think. It doesn't require your mind to think. Do I like this? Do I not? Does it make sense? Does it not? The way in which they communicate is communicating to the subconscious mind. Simon Sinek does this really well in all of his books. The way he writes is literally to the subconscious mind. It doesn't require you to think about whether or not you believe him. It allows the subconscious mind to go, oh my gosh, I never saw it this way before. Same thing with a good speech. When someone has a really good speech, you're not left thinking about, is a speech good or bad? Even if it's a bad speech, you know it's bad. There's a subconscious thing going on. It's bad. But if it's a good speech, it pulls people in because you're communicating to the subconscious mind. Same thing with content. There's people out there that make really good content. You don't have to think logically about whether or not the content's good. You just know it. It's all around you. You see it all around you, but it's invisible to most. What thought reversals do is they do the same exact thing that all of those good movies, the good ads, the good books, the good content does. Now, it's the same thing with people in your relationships. When someone says something that's really good, like really positive, either whether it's a friend, a parent, a teacher, a spouse, they're like, oh, you did this really well. Or maybe it's like, your spouse came up and just gave you a kiss on the cheek or something. You're going to have an internal automated feeling that was produced. You didn't have to think about it. Oh, they gave me a kiss. Why are they giving me a kiss? What, because of this, because of that, because of this? How should I feel about it? No, it's a subconscious automation. But this also works for bad things too, right? When someone says something negative about you, the subconscious automatically perceives it a certain way. So the idea here is, and before I move into how this translates to the thought reversals, the idea here is there's the subconscious and there's the conscious. There's the unaware and then there's the aware. So most often than not, since we know that average humans make 35,000 decisions a day, we know that most of the decisions that we make every day are actually subconscious driven, which can be a little scary because you're like, oh, I don't know what my subconscious is thinking here. Even if the belief they give you, the subconscious gives you, is counterproductive for you producing the results, the subconscious will still give it to you. So we have to become aware of that. One of the reasons why we have to be careful with doing a lot of how-to content is because when we say the same things as everyone else, or we title the same things as everyone else, the subconscious sometimes already knows how to think about those things. So if someone had an experience of watching 2 or 3 videos of how to lose 10 pounds, and then they see your video of how to lose 10 pounds, and they don't see anything different, the subconscious, the audience's subconscious has already made a decision about how to think about videos titled that way. So when they see another video titled the same way, they skip right over it because the subconscious will think things like, we've already know how to do this. We've already done the research on this. We've already whatever. So that's another reason why we can't title things the same way or say the same thing as everyone else. So if we know this is going on, what I want you to look at thought reversals as is things that stop people's subconscious and gives them a moment to think critically about things that they thought were true. So let me give you an example. I'm just going to use the example that we use all the time. People use or teach or tell you for the longest time, how-to content is how to grow an audience online. Give away your best stuff for free. Now, because you've heard that so many times from people, your subconscious automatically believes it to be true. And when I do a video that says how-to content is not how to grow an audience fast, most people are going to look at that and go, oh, he's just being polarizing. And I am. But what's going on beneath the surface is what I'm doing is I'm stopping the audience's subconscious automation. I'm taking them from unaware to aware. I'm about to get them to think critically about something they haven't thought critically about. That's really what we're doing at the end of the day. When we use thought reversals effectively, we're stopping the subconscious automation that has placed a belief that causes suffering in their life, and we're giving them an opportunity to think critically about it, and we're taking them from unaware to aware. I want you guys to grasp that concept because that's really what we're doing. It's not about dismantling beliefs. I mean, it is, but when we look deeper at what's going on is that this automated subconscious thing running your audience's life, sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way, you're stopping that automation from always running in their head, and you're now getting them to think critically about it. I'm going to give you a couple of ways in which you can do this, but I want to talk about the 3 most common ways that information will get automated inside of your audience's head, because once you understand this information, it becomes a lot easier to know what to create thought reversal content around. So the first way that the subconscious will automate beliefs in your audience's head is repeated information. So the information that gets repeated over and over and over, and this has been scientifically proven, that even if someone knew it was a lie, even if they knew it wasn't true, the first time they heard something, they knew it wasn't true, but then they lived in an environment where that information, even though they knew it was not true, gets repeated over and over and over and over again, and they hear more and more people say it, the subconscious actually starts to believe that it's true. The subconscious will take repeated information and make it true inside of your head, even if you originally thought that and knew that it wasn't true. Again, there's been experiments done on this, and it's been proven time and time again that even when information is wrong, or you know it's wrong, but you hear it over and over and over again, you will start to believe it's true. Which is a little scary when you look at the news and the narratives that they put out there, and how much you keep hearing those over and over and over and over and over again, knowing that subconscious will automate repeated information. This is also why living in certain environments is really important. Having really positive friends around you is really important. It will start to influence your thinking, even on a subconscious level. So repeated information. And the reason why this happens, I don't know this to be true, but when I look at this, the reason why I think this is true, it works this way, is I think it's a survival mechanism where we are pack creatures, where we need to be able to fit in for survival. So when we hear people or the people around us repeat information over and over and over and over again, and we're going to do the opposite, that's not fitting into the group that we need in order for survival. So I actually think that this is a survival instinct that's ingrained into us. So the subconscious will start to automate information so that we fit into the pack. Again, I don't know that to be true. I didn't do the research on that, but my perspective on it, the reason why that happens is because of that reason. But it doesn't matter why it's happening, but we just know that repeated information. So this is why when you want to find really powerful thought reversals, start to look for repeated information inside of your space that you know just isn't the best way. It's like almost mind-blowing to you. Like, why do people keep saying this? It doesn't work, or it's not effective anymore. That's one of the ways you can actually find really powerful thought reversals, is just look at repeated information. The next one is actually information from sources that you trust. So when you get information from a source that you trust, the subconscious will automatically believe it. For example, like, let's look at this podcast episode. I'm assuming you're listening to this because you trust me and you like what I'm saying. But how many of you have actually questioned anything that I said on this episode? How many of you have actually gone and said, I don't know if that's to be true, or I need to do the research. How do I know this is true? Does that make sense to me? How do I know it makes sense? Is this really the best way? Are thought reversals really the best thing? Are they the best way to do this? How many of you have asked those questions since listening to this episode? I'm willing to bet it's less than 1%. You guys should be questioning what I'm saying. You should be stopping that automated subconscious feeling and go, is this really true? Is this the best way for me? Question everything. Stop believing things just because an authority, or let me just even say this, a perceived authority, just because a perceived authority says something, which means that you perceive them as authority, doesn't mean they are. Just because they say something doesn't make it true. You never know people's in motivations or intentions. You never know if they are misguided. You don't know what they don't know. So you should be questioning everything. And if you question it and it makes sense and you still want to do it, then go and do it. I never want you guys to believe something that I say just because I said it. But it might be easier because I usually generally communicate to your subconscious mind. But again, just knowing that information from authorities is likely to be automated into your head because you trust them is really powerful, because then you can look at authorities inside of your space. What are some of the authorities saying that are outdated, that people just may believe? What have authorities been saying for so many years that people just believe to be true? And then ask yourself, what have you just taken on as a truth just because a perceived authority said it? I mean, have you thought critically about it? Have you stopped the subconscious mind? Have you moved from unaware to aware? And then the third way is just because something's been done for a really long time, it's been done a certain way, or because you get results doing something. You've gotten results doing something one way. Therefore, the subconscious mind goes, that's the way you got to do it all the time. For example, like you drive to, your kid's school and you take one route, and then that's likely to be the route you take all the time because it's familiar to you, but it also got you the result. Does it mean it's the fastest route? No. Does it mean it's the safest route? No. Does it mean it's the only route? No. But the subconscious automates, this is the route we're going to go because that's the way we've always done it. So again, when you want to find those thought reversal topics, what ways or methods have been done inside of your space for so long that people just don't question it, that you haven't questioned it until now? Those are all going to be great thought reversal topics. Why? Because all three of those things that I just mentioned are ways that the subconscious will automate things inside of your head. Now, there's a lot more than just these three. So like experiences is another one, different indoctrinations from your parents. There's just so many different ways that things will get automated into your head. But for the sake of thought reversals and the sake of content creation, those are three areas that things will get automated into people's heads. Number one, repeated information. Number two, information from sources that they trust. And then number three is just ways it's been done for so long, they just assume that's the way that they should be doing it. Those three will also lead to different topics. Now, once you understand that what you're doing with thought reversals is you're stopping that automation and you're getting them to critically think or bring their awareness to something. Once you understand that, your thought reversals become more powerful. Why? Because the first step of a thought reversal should be to stop the automation. But what most people mess up with thought reversals is their first step is communicating why they're right. They start explaining scenarios. They start the videos with, or their content with, you might be the type of person that's this, and here's why this is going on, and here's what's going on over here. And they just start explaining things. No, just stop their automation. Stop explaining stuff to them. Meet them where they're at. They believe this, so stop that automation. And in order to stop that automation, all you really need to do is ask them one powerful question, or just tell them that what they believe to be true is not true. That's it. So that's the way we've done thought reversals for a really long time, which was just state that the belief is wrong, bad, or the old way. So if someone believed how-to content was how to grow an audience fast, I would just say how-to content is not how to grow an audience fast. That subconscious automated thought of how-to content is how to grow an audience fast stops right there in the moment. They go, what? Huh. And then if we script it the right way, we can unwind that subconscious automation, but it stopped. We got them to think. We stopped the subconscious automation in its tracks. The other way to do it, and this is actually from a new thought reversal style that we just released in the new program, is to present the belief in a different context. So there's this theory that I'm working on, which is that people, because it's an automated thought and people aren't critically thinking about it, they haven't asked if this thought was logical or not logical. So if you ask the question that gets them to realize the thought is not logical, it will stop that subconscious automation. So let me give you an example. If someone was afraid to start a business because they have never started a business before, and they think, I can't do it. I can't do this because I've never started a business before. What I could do is start a video off with the question that goes like this. When you had your first baby, did you not bring the baby home and raise them because you've never raised a baby before? No. You did it anyways, even if you haven't done it before. So why are you doing that to your business? Why are you doing the same thing to your business? And then they're going like, well, I never thought of it that way. I didn't realize I was doing that. inside of my business. But what I'm doing is I'm taking, hey, here's this thing that your subconscious automation believes to be true. I'm going to ask a question that stops that automation and now requires you to look at it objectively. I'm going to get you to critically think about it. Here's another example. If people believed tutorials and how-to content were how to grow an audience fast, I would just say, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen an encyclopedia, which is filled with a ton of tutorials and great information, at the top of a best-selling list? Any best-selling list? No. So why do you think giving more information, more tutorials is going to make your content the best out there? Doesn't make any sense. Let me ask you another question. When you see someone do an amazing TED Talk, do they just get up there and repeat a tutorial? No. That's some of the best content that you'll find on YouTube. So why are you doing the same thing inside of your business over and over again? But what I'm doing is I'm asking the question in a different context. When you ask the question in a different context, it actually requires the subconscious mind to think critically about their belief. And look, they may go back to believing the same thing they've always believed. That's fine. The point is by asking in a different context, we are now stopping the automation and giving them an opportunity to move from unaware to aware, getting them to critically and logically think about things. And I didn't do anything other than ask a question in a different context. And I did that because I know when the subconscious automates things, it doesn't do it from logic. By asking a question in a different context, the same belief in a different context, it now moves the mind to think critically about it, logically about it. We're able to move people out of a belief that was automated into their head by their subconscious. So there's multiple ways in which we can do this. There's multiple ways in which you can start to automate or stop the automation of subconscious beliefs. But what I want you to start doing is looking at how do I communicate to my audience's subconscious to either teach stuff in a way that doesn't require them to think and also stops the automation of beliefs that are causing suffering in their life. So we've already tackled that part of it. We've already tackled a little bit about how do I stop their subconscious from beliefs. But let's talk for a second about how to teach in a way that the subconscious automatically goes, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it's very simple. Most people try to teach and teach and teach and give out a little more information because they think the more I show, the more smart someone will think I am, and then they'll hire me. But it doesn't necessarily work that way because you start overwhelming them. You give them too much information. You're not addressing their fears or their concerns or their subconscious. So when you listen to me teach, you'll probably notice that I use a lot of examples and metaphors and analogies. And the reason why is when I state something and I back it up with a metaphor, I back it up with an analogy, I back it up with a counterexample, I back it up with something, I'm not doing it for the sake of doing it. I'm doing it because I want the subconscious mind to automatically go, that makes sense. And that's what story does. That's what analogies, metaphors, counterexamples, that's what they all do. They all get the subconscious to automatically think that makes sense. So when I say things like how-to content's not how to build an audience fast, look at Gary Vaynerchuk. He doesn't use any how-to content. I'm using Gary Vaynerchuk as a counterexample, but what I'm really doing is I'm getting the subconscious mind to go, you're right. That makes sense. So when I teach, it's not about giving more and more information. It's about giving some information, but then it's all about the subconscious mind communication. Then giving out more information, subconscious mind communication, giving out more information, asking myself, is there going to be a block here that I need to unwind? Okay, yep, let me unwind it. And then let me give an example based off of how my way is right. And I'm always looking at the subconscious mind. I'm always looking at what is going on. What does my audience's subconscious think? What are their beliefs? What are their objections? Are they going to believe this to be true? How do I tell their subconscious this is going to be true? And I literally write like, okay, this is going to be objection. Here's how I remove this objection to the subconscious mind. Here's what I'm going to say is the answer. Here's the example I'm going to use so the subconscious mind goes yes. And what this starts to do is create a demand inside of your audience automatically without them having to think about it. Because when we use even our counterexamples, like the Gary Vaynerchuk one I used, not only am I using Gary Vaynerchuk to prove that the old belief isn't really the best way, I'm also creating a demand for what Gary does, which is thought reversals. He shifts people's perspectives, reinforces beliefs, and all of that stuff. So if this is interesting to you and you want to learn more about it, we do have more information and training available to you. All you need to do is just go to brandonlucero.com/TRweb. So it's TRWEB, all one word, TRweb, brandonlucero.com/TRweb. And we will have some free training for you to go through and learn this new concept and start implementing it yourself. And for those of you who are already in our program and going through this new course, depending on when you're listening to this episode, it may be out, may not be out. Let us know in the Facebook group how you're enjoying the new program. What is your favorite framework of thought reversals? Because we added some new ones in there. And for those of you who are listeners who have not left us a review yet, please go leave us a review on iTunes. I'd be so grateful for that. I always love reading the reviews, hearing about what you like. And when I hear about what you like, I can give you more of it. So head over there, do that now. And for those of you who want more information on thought reversals, just head over to brandonlucero.com/TRweb, and I'll see you on the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.